Hello fast learners, welcome to our YouTube channel where we bring knowledge closer to you by just a single click button. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. My name is Katerega James and I will be taking you through Foundry technology. Like earlier before, we looked at introduction to Foundry technology, we looked at pattern making. This time around we are going to look at types of patterns and coding of patterns. What are the different types of patterns? We have what we call the single piece patterns, we have the two piece patterns, we have the multi-piece pattern, we have the match plate patterns, we have the gate pattern, we have the skeleton pattern, we have the sweep pattern, we have the loose piece pattern, then we have the cop and drag pattern. We can also have the shell pattern. We are going to look into details of these patterns. To begin with, we have what we call a single piece pattern. A single piece pattern is also referred to as a solid pattern. And we find that this type of pattern is low cost. It's a low cost pattern and it is suitable for simple processes. Simple processes in that it can be used for small scale production. This type of pattern makes the casting process just more needing because it involves simple shapes. They can be flat, they can be simple rectangular blocks and so forth. Then we have what we call a two-piece pattern. A two-piece pattern can also be referred to as a split pattern, and this type of pattern can be used for making what we call intricate casting. So this two-piece pattern makes use of what we call the parting planes. It has what we call the parting planes, which may have flat or irregular surfaces. We find that two-piece patterns or a split pattern, it makes use of what we call the drag and the cop. You find that one part is embedded within the cop and then another part is embedded within the drag, and it has what we call the dowry pins. Now the dowry pins do what we call, they align the two pieces in line such that we don't incur defects like mismatch. Then we have what we call a multi-piece pattern. Now the multi-piece pattern makes use of what we call the drag, the checkbox and the cop on top. You find that just like the two-piece pattern, it is simpler, but this time around, this one, there is a middle part embedded which is known as the checkbox. So this type of pattern is good for complex designs which are hard to make. So it also has what we call alignment pins in order to align the shape in order to prevent it from defects. Then we have what we call the match plate pattern. The match plate pattern makes use of what we call a metallic plate. The metallic plate just divides the cop and the drag into opposite faces of the plate. We have to see that this type of pattern doesn't have that much work and can provide hardy output. We find that it is used in manufacturing industry and it is usually expensive. It is used for precise casting and it yields highly. So we have to see that this type of pattern is most especially used for when it comes to metal casting of aluminium. That is the match plate pattern. Then we have what we call the gate pattern. Now the gate pattern, the unique part about gate pattern is that it has what we call more patterns. It has multiple patterns embedded within a single pattern. So it is designed for multiple components, if I can say. So it is used to combine the different patterns and the runners to create a flow away from the molten materials. So this type of pattern is provided with what we call the runners and the gates. They have to be attached on this type of pattern. This type of pattern is expensive and it is usually used for smaller castings. Then you have what we call a skeleton pattern. When it comes to the skeleton pattern, this one is very large in size and it is a good choice for casting which has simple shapes and sizes, but it is expensive and not versatile. This type of pattern is used especially in industries in that it is used for flow. There is what we call flow welding. It's where they make use of this skeleton pattern. If it's not flow welding, it can be also referred to as PT welding. This type of pattern is very suitable in industries for such a job. Then you have what we call sweep patterns. When it comes to sweep patterns, this makes use of what we call a hard wood board. So The hardwood board is of a proper size and it rotates along the edge in order to create what we call a cavity. You have to see that this kind of casting pattern creates a cavity in a vertical direction, and the base is attached at the sand, and we have to see that it also creates a casting in a very short period of time. It also consists of 3 parts, just like the multi-piece pattern. It also consists of 3 parts, that is the spindle, it has the base, it has the sweep, which is called the wooden board. The sweep is what we call the wooden board. Then you have what we call a loose piece pattern. This is more especially used by what we call the manufacturers, whereby they remove one piece from a solid pattern, which is either above or below the parting plane of the mold. You're going to see that this type of pattern involves skilled labor, in that it is difficult when it comes to creating a casting, so it is expensive as well when you're making castings. So that is the loose piece pattern. Then you have what we call a cop and drag pattern. The cop and drag pattern, this consists of 2 separate plates. It is similar to a 2-piece pattern, but this time round we find that one part is within the core, then another part is within the drag, such that when we join our flats we make one single casting. Then lastly, we shall talk about the shell pattern. The shell pattern, it is a good choice when it comes to creating what we call hollow shaped structures, all parts. It also makes use of what we call wax, because we know very well that when it comes to wax, when you subject it to heat, it has to melt away. Such a pattern is a shell pattern. It creates the hollow cavity. Then we shall talk about coding and painting of patterns. Why do we paint patterns? There are reasons why we carry out coding of patterns. One of the reasons is to identify quickly the main body of the pattern and the different parts of the pattern. That is the first reason. Then the second reason, to indicate the final type of metal to be casted. Then also to visualize the surface to be machined. Those are some of the reasons why we carry out coding or painting of patterns. But there is a solid role, there is a major role why we carry out coding or painting of patterns. One of them is that painting helps to protect the pattern from heat and humidity, especially when it's meant to be stored. For example, we do what we call painting of patterns. For example, wood patterns, we varnish them. We varnish them in order to prevent them from absorbing moisture, because moisture brings about warping and distortion. Then when it comes to metallic patterns, we do paint them maybe to protect them from rusting. Now we have different colors we use. We use colors like red, we use colors like yellow, we use colors like black, we use colors like black strips and yellow base. So those are the different colors. What do these colors mean when it comes to coding of patterns? Let's begin with red. Red indicates that no machining is needed on the surface of the final casting. Then we have what we call yellow. Yellow indicates that the surface has to be machined. Then we have black, indicates that the surface needs a core, because we say that a core is used for creating what we call hollow sections. Then we have what we call clear varnish. If not clear varnish, you can say unpainted. This indicates the parting line or join on the casting. Then lastly, we shall talk about the black strips on the yellow base. This indicates stop-offs. Therefore, that is what I had for you. Thank you very much. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can like, you can comment for our more YouTube videos, such that we keep in touch with you.